During the day, a woman and her husband were playing with their children in the park. Just as she was about to take a break, a man came over to her in a hurry. The man said that his daughter was missing and asked her to help find her. Seeing this anxious father, the woman let her guard down completely. It was her kindness that cost her her life. At the same time, late at night on the street, a prostitute was soliciting business. She cast her gaze on a man standing in the shadows. She thought she would make money tonight, but she never imagined she would also lose her life. Soon, these two serial murder cases were sent to the analysis team. It is very rare for two serial killers to appear in the same city at the same time. The team members analyzed the basic information of the cases. The first killer lured the victims in public places and then dumped the bodies in the woods. The police called him the MO-She killer. So far, 6 people have been killed. The other killer's targets were all prostitutes. The number of victims has reached 8. They were all killed with the same handgun. The killer contacted a newspaper reporter named Jim and confessed to being the real killer of these women. He claimed to be an empty man. Before he sent the letter, no one realized it was a serial murder case. This may be because his victims were all sex workers who were not valued by society. What is strange is that every time the MO-She killer abducted a woman, the Hollow Man would shoot a sex worker. It seems as though they were participating in a competition and learning each other's murder techniques. The Hollow Man always committed his crimes at night, and his targets were all sex workers. Therefore, they speculated that the killer must lack confidence in women. None of the cases involved rape. He likely has a physical disability. He chooses to use a gun for his crimes. There is no physical contact with the victims throughout the process. The MO-She killer, however, commits his crimes during the day. His targets are educated middle-class women. They all die from blunt force trauma to the head. This suggests he enjoys the close-up experience of witnessing life slipping away. Their methods are completely opposite. The analysis team decides to investigate the two cases separately. Morgan went to the home of the latest missing woman. According to her husband's description, there were no suspicious people in the park that day, and since having children, his wife had become more trusting of others. He had no idea why someone would kidnap his wife. Yalowin and Reed went to the home of the latest murdered prostitute. According to her mother, gunshots at night were as common as car horns on the street. No one cared what had happened. Even if the killer had already murdered 8 people, there was no related information published in the newspapers. Instead, the deaths of the 6 middle-class women dominated the headlines. In her view, the police were no different from the journalists. They didn't bother to investigate the victims from the lower classes. Furthermore, from the relevant police records, it was clear that the MO-She killer had a lengthy file, while the Hollow killer had only murdered 8 people. However, his case file only had a few pages. The police chief claimed that this was due to the location of the crime. As the mother of the fallen woman said, no one was willing to speak about what they had seen. Meanwhile, the newspaper reporter found JJ. The Hollow killer had written to him, clearly seeking more attention. JJ hoped he would not report any related information. It was not that these victims were unworthy of attention, but once the Hollow killer's demands were met, he would likely disappear forever. At that moment, the police discovered the body of the missing woman. The body had been dumped 40 miles away from the disappearance site. Clearly, the killer was very cautious. The lips of the body were painted with lipstick, and based on the moisture level, it appeared to have been applied recently. Additionally, the hair was neatly combed, indicating that the killer had arranged the body. As for why he chose such a distant location to dispose of the body, the reason was that he wanted to be alone with the victims. This was the killer's unique ritual to desecrate the bodies. Meanwhile, a man saw the case of the MO-She killer being widely reported. He felt extremely angry at that moment. Just then, 2 prostitutes passed by. As they approached the man in the car, he decisively killed them in broad daylight and placed the newspaper between their bodies.